Hey guys, welcome to Share School Studios. It's Raeven, and today we're doing another deck list for this Friday. This one I couldn't think of a clever name, so I'm just calling it Peekaboo. And this one's gonna have another weird twist to it because I like doing interesting deck lists. I also made it as cheap as possible, set it to cheapest settings. So without further introduction, let's get into it. Also, guys, if you enjoy my content, please like and subscribe for more stuff in the future. And here we go. We have Loot, the key to everything, a 3-cost commander. Green, blue, and red for Ward 1. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile top X cards of your library, where X is the number of card types among other non-land permanents you control. You may play those cards this turn. Mostly this is, we want to cast things from exile to get as much value off other certain cards in the future. And he kind of just accelerates it and gets us card advantage. So we don't need him on the field to win, but he kind of just helps out the deck. We have Invasion of Zendikar, which is just another non-land permanent for Loot, which is when it enters the battlefield, we search our deck for up to 2 basic lands, put them on battlefield tapped, then shuffle, and whenever it's transformed, as long as it's on the battlefield, it's a land in addition to its other types, and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So, yep. Then we have Jace, Reawakened, which we can only cast on our 4th turn or after, which is draw a card, discard a card for +1. Not bad. +1, which is what we really want, is you exile a non-land card with mana value 3 or less from your hand. If you do, it becomes plotted. That's what we're going to be doing later. Mostly to use this. The -6, whenever you cast a spell, copy it, choose new targets for the copy. If we can get to it, we can get to it. Alaundo, the Seer. We draw a card, exile a card from our hand with time counters equal to its mana value. And it gains basically every turn we remove. I think it's upkeep. Every upkeep, remove a time counter. Basically, give everything suspend. But every time we cast something with from him, we get to remove a time counter from everything else too. So we're gonna just be hopefully oopsing out a bunch of stuff. Averna, the Chaos Bloom. As you cascade, you may put a land card from the exiled cards onto the battlefield. Basically, this will get us some more ramp value as we cascade. Bloodbraid Elf is a 4-drop cascade with haste. Then we have Cemetery Illuminator, which is going to be graveyard hate for our opponents. But if we exile something that is also on the top of our deck, card type wise, we get to cast it. Dark Apostle. The next non-creature spell you cast this turn has Cascade. So that will get us a little more value. Displacer Kitten. When we cast our non-creature spells, we're going to flicker something. We have Emerald Dragon, which will counter activated or triggered abilities from not creatures, and then we can cast a dragon later. We have Atali, Primal Conqueror, which will let us cast things from our exile that they find. Eternal Witness, which when we cast a non-creature spell, Displacer Kitten will bounce. Faladorn, Dread Herald. When we cast a spell or exile, or a land enters the battlefield from you control from exile, make a 2/2 green wolf. And then you can do the 1 tapper. Discard a card, exile top card of the library, you play it this turn. We have Flip, Lost on the Range. Basically, we target card of the library anytime. We can plot it for its mana cost, and then we can, So that gets us more things we can do from exile. Flamekin Herald will give our commander Cascade. We have Goblin Anarchomancer. So this one will make our certain things cheaper to cast, especially with the foretell stuff, and especially with adventure. Green Slime, like I said, we foretell it, or it has flash, enters battlefield, counter, target activated, triggered ability from artifact or enchantment. If a permanent's ability is countered this way, we destroy it. Then we have Grolnok, the Omnivore, which is when a permanent card is put into our graveyard from our library, we exile it. So whenever we milled, we exile something with a croak counter. We may play lands and cast spells from one card zone in exile with croak counters. Again, this will go with the theme of just getting stuff from exile. We have Halden, Avid Arcanist. He partners with Paco, which we'll look at later. We may play non-creature cards from exile with fetch counters on them. If you exile them, you may spend mana or mana of any color to cast those spells. We have Hypnotic Sprite, which is a counter spell that also lets us cast a fairy. MOT, Celebrant of Bounty, has Cascade. You may cast spells we cast with mana value 6 or greater have Cascade. We have Keeper of Secrets, which is whenever we cast a spell from anywhere other than our hands, it deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to target opponent. So this is mostly like the type of cards we want to get into by burning our opponent by casting cards from exile. We have Kellen, Investigate. You may play an additional land this turn, and when it attacks, we can destroy target artifact. So mostly for the adventure cost, and then we can cast him again from exile for the exile value. But he's also a kind of good ramp spell. Maelstrom Wanderer. Creatures you control have haste. Cascade. So there you go. We get 2 other spells that come from exile. Miss Hollow Griffin is going to go into an infinite combo. I will explain later. Nefelshni. When you cast a spell from exile, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. If it's a permanent spell, you make a token, and we sack it at the beginning of the end step. Then we have Paco, Arcane Retriever. When it attacks, exile top card of each player's library, put a fetch counter on it, put 1 counter on Paco for each non-creature card exiled this way. So he's just going to be getting non-creature spells that we can cast. Party Thrasher. Non-creature spells you cast from exile have Convoke. So that goes with Paco and some of our with Grolnok and other cards we want to cast from exile and make it easier for us to cast them. Beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may discard a card. If you do, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You choose one of them. You can play it. We're not going to be doing that ability. Mostly, it's just the Convoke. Our creatures are going to help us. Sapphire Dragon, counter target non-creature spell. And then its creature form is when it attacks or blocks, grab 2. So the Sapphire Dragon is mostly just another counter spell that we can essentially cast from exile. Savvy Trader. Enters the battlefield, exile target permanent card from your graveyard. You may play that card as long as it remains exiled. Spells you cast from anywhere other than your hand cost 1 less to cast. This one could also be a potential target with Displacer Kitten when we cast a non-creature spell. And it makes it cheaper. Scalding Viper. It's a bounce spell. And then whenever our opponent casts a spell with mana value 3 or less, deals 1 damage to that player. So this one will also let us burn our opponents if they're trying to just do a bunch of low-cost, fast spells. Shardless Agent is a 3-cost cascade. We have Squeed the Immortal, which will go to another infinite combo. We have Stormkeld Vanguard, which is basically bear down, destroy artifact enchantment. It's removal. Then we can cast a creature from exile later. We have the Foretold Soldier. When it deals damage, exile it face down, becomes Foretold. It's going to be a dude that basically will cast it. It deals damage, goes in exile. We foretell it later. It's a 2-drop 6/6 essentially. That we're going to be, burning our opponents for 4, or we just have a 6/6 come out, getting some value off getting it from exile. Wild Maze Sorcerer, the first spell you cast from exile each turn has Cascade. So that will get us even more value from casting from exile and more casting from exile triggers. Going to our sorceries, we have Alrund's Epiphany. We create 2 1/1 bird tokens, take an extra turn for this one, and we exile it. But we can always just, foretell it. Apex of Power, which will let us exile the top 7 cards of our library. Until on the turn, you may cast spells from among them. And then if we cast this from our hand, we get 10 mana of any one color. So, call forth the Tempest, Cascade, Cascade. It deals damage to each creature your opponents control, equal to the total mana value of spells you've cast this turn. Which I don't know if it sees itself. That will have to be a rolling. But yeah, this is another really good card, especially for this. Ensnared by the Mara. Each opponent faces a villainous choice. They exile cards at the top of the library until they get a non-land card. You may cast it out paying its mana cost, or that player exiles top 4 cards of the library, and then Ensnared by Mara deals damage to that player. And that's each opponent. So this will again let us cast things from exile, or we can just burn our opponents. Feral Encounter. Well, let's look at the top 4 cards of the library. We exile a creature from among them, put the rest on bottom in random order. We may cast a creature, and then at the beginning of the next combat phase, target creature control deals damage up to its power, up to 1 target creature you don't control. So we get also removal. Impending Flux deals X damage to each opponent and each creature they control, where X is 1 plus the number of spells you've cast from anywhere other than our hand this turn. And wow, it has Foretell. So yeah, another one-sided board wipe for our opponents. We have Raven form for its Foretell cost, and it's a good removal. We have 3 visits for a ramp spell. Throes of Chaos as Cascade and Retrace, so it's just going to go get us more stuff and cast itself from exile. Beast Within for a good removal spell. Delayed Blast Fireball. This one's one of the more expensive cards in the deck. And if we cast it from exile, it'll deal 5 damage to each opponent and each creature they control. So again, another one-sided board wipe. Forceful Denial is our counterspell that has Cascade. Heroic Intervention is going to be our protection. We have a Lightning Bolt for removal or burn. We have Saw It Coming, which is another counterspell that we can cast from exile, get cast from exile value. Arcane Signet, of course. Chaos Wand will let us cast one of our opponents' instants of sorceries from exile. We have Commander Sphere. We have Emerald Medallion. Cruel Signet is a Signet. Ruby Medallion. Sapphire Medallion. Simic Signet. Soul Ring, Unstable Amulet, which is when we cast a spell other than a hand, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So that's other more burn that we're going to be hitting our opponents with. And we can use its bottom ability once to exile top card of our library. Wand of Wonder, which will basically give us more value than Chaos Wand. But it's more stuff to cast from exile. Bigger on the inside. This is kind of a ramp because we're going to chant one of our lands. We're going to essentially have this on there. Tap it for 2 mana, and then the next spell we cast with it has Cascade. We have Food Chain, which will go infinite with... Where's he at? Where's Squee? Squee the Immortal. We're going to exile him, bring him back, exile him, bring him back, and just have infinite mana. But this also goes infinite with... Where's our Griffin at? Yeah, Miss Hollow Griffin also goes infinite with Food Chain. And because we'll be casting it from exile, it's basically the infinite combo of with Unstable Amulet or the Keeper of Secrets. So we're going to be burning our opponents. Then we have Passionate Archaeologist, or Yeah, Archaeologist, which will also let us, when we cast Spells from Exile, deal damage to an opponent. So we're burning our opponent. We have the Lost and the Damned. When a land enters the battlefield from your control for anywhere other than your hand, or you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, create a 3/3 red spawn creature. So again, more value, and we get to make creatures. Going into our lands, we have Breeding Pool, Cascading Cataracts, we have Command Tower, Dreamroot Cascade, Exotic Orchard, 7 Forest, Hidden Nursery, 6 Islands, Ketria Triome, 7 Mountains, Silver Bluff Bridge, Slagwood Bridge, Steam Vents, Stomping Ground, and Training Center. Basically, it's just a really diverse, uh, like mana. I'm trying to keep it like as even as possible. And of course, we are going to go into playtesting it. As you see, this is kind of how the mana is split up. Of course, red more because red cares more about stuff being cast from exile. And let's go ahead and playtest it. Discard. We'll draw a card for turn. We're immediately going to do Training Center into Soul Ring. Next turn. Ooh, what do we want to do? We could foretell that. We have 4 mana, but we can't cast anything because we don't have green. So we're just going to exile that face down. Turn 3. Medallion. So we're doing some stuff. We just don't have green, sadly. Next turn. We'll put in play tapped. And then next turn we can start doing more stuff. Next turn. We're going to do an island. What do we want? Green, blue, and 2. We're going to do Emoti, and then we're going to hang on. The best way to do it is this. Reveal. We get Flamekin Herald. That's actually really good for us. So, bomb a library, and we get a Flamekin Herald. And then Emoti resolves. Turn 6. We'll do Tanglepool Bridge. We'll tap. Cast Commander. On the cast of our commander, we'll Cascade for 2 or less. And we get a Sprite. Not bad, but... And then, of course, we have, all these other dudes. But yeah, automatically we get some value. And then we'll go to turn 7. What do we want to do here? So what I think is we're just going to play a mountain. We'll do a green, a blue, and a red. You go there. We'll cast Gronok the Omnivore. Oh wait, no. I missed an upkeep trigger. So we're missing this mountain. We're going to be exiling the top cards of our library for artifact and creature. So we only get 2. 1 and 2. Oh, I'm playing that Dreamroot Cascade. That's a better land for us right now. And then with the Dreamroot Cascade, we'll do that. Soul Ring. Cast the Invasion. And when ETBs, we go get 2 lands. I'm going to go get Forest, which will ETB tapped, and sure, we'll grab a mountain. And there you go. Automatically, we have a pretty good board, and we got to land and stuff. Because if we went into next turn, man, it's before we draw. So we'll get Faldorn and the Viper. So Valadorn we are definitely going to cast. Casting Faldorn first. And then do we get to... I forget if we get to cast the adventure cost from exile. Especially if it says we can play it. But I'll just run it as a yes for now. Because mostly I just don't care. And that will bounce something. We're casting something exile. We get a wolf. Boom. Wolf token. And then we can cast it for red. And that later. Cast it again. We make another wolf. Boop. We have wolves. And look at our board. Now again, that is turn 8. Because this deck is going to be slow. Because we need to build up. We're mulliganing that one. That's a better one. Alright. So for turn 1, our first turn. Of course, we're going to do a tap land. Next turn, we'll do Command Tower, and we'll foretell Alrund's Epiphany. Turn 3, I'm going to play a Forest, and then we're going to cast Loot. So there we go. We cast Loot on curve. Next turn, oh, we exile that, and then we draw the Illuminator. So we can play this turn, right? Yep. I do not have the mana, so that will just stay in exile. Tax. We could do Throws of Chaos. But I think what I want to do... Nope, let's do Throws of Chaos. Boop, we'll cast it, and we're going to retrace it. So we're going to Cascade into a Ruby Medallion. That's not bad at all, actually. And then we'll retrace it, exiling it. So our next upkeep... Oh, no. Retrace is we can cast it from our graveyard by discarding a land card. I forgot what the other one was. But yeah, so it's in the graveyard. That's fine. Going to turn 5. Sure, we'll do a training center. Oh, wait. Your training center gets exiled. Because I keep forgetting. We'll play training center from exile. And then we'll cast Nefelshni, which will give all our cards we cast from exile Cascade. Next turn, we're exiling Keeper of Secrets. And we draw. So, I think we're just going to play it. What is it? We'll leave Command Tower untapped. We'll basically tap out. Cast Keeper. We get a copy of it, which really won't do anything for us, but we can swing 6 at somebody. Next turn, we get a Gruul Signet, and we draw. There we go, we get Faldorn. I'm gonna go ahead, play a land for turn. Red and a green, because Faldorn's only 2. Cast Faldorn. Then we'll do the island and the mountain. We'll cast Gruul Signet. Gruul Signet will hit somebody for 2. We get a copy of Gruul Signet. And then we make a 2/2 wolf. Boom. Alright. And we get a copy of it, which is, how do we, I think we can make a copy. Make a token copy. Boom. Token copy. And then now, what should we cast here? Because we have 4, 5, 6. We can cast a 6 spell. So we can't cast the Maelstrom Wanderer, which would have been awesome. So I think what we do is we just, because we gotta get rid of that permanent anyway. Tap. Tap. We'll send that to the graveyard. We'll cast Paco. And then whenever he attacks, we'll get our opponent's stuff. And then we'll go to turn 8. We get a forest. We draw a card for turn. Play the forest, that way it doesn't just stay in exile. We make a 2/2 wolf because we played a land from exile. And then we'll go ahead, we'll cast Maelstrom Wanderer for 1, 2, let me see. It's 1 cheaper, so 4, 7 mana. It's 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. Cast Maelstrom Wanderer. On the cast, we'll Cascade. We get a Motley, and we get 2 Motleys, but we'll get rid of the other one, which also has Cascade. So on his Cascade, that goes Shift L, I think is what it was. There we go. We get Impending Flux, which so far we've cast 2. So we burn our, and it gets copied. So we're burning our opponents and each creature they control for 6. And then Emoti, enters the battlefield, resolves. And then we get Shift L. Then we get Lost in the Damned. And we've essentially cast 3 things. So we get 3 wolves. Look at all our wolves. That's just insane. And honestly, like, how that pops off once you get, especially Nefelshin. Nefelshin is really good, but the Cascade stuff is also good. Any of the value engines, because you have to think too, we've also hit our opponent for 5. What was that? That was 3, 6. So 11. 14, because I can't math. We've hit our opponents for 14, essentially. So that's a bunch of damage on board. Let's go ahead and play test it one more time. Sure, I'll keep this hand. Yeah, sure, that's just a bad A hand right there. So we're going to go into an island, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet. Next turn. Do we want to? No, we'll do this. This. Cast Commander. We'll do this, and we'll foretell the Epiphany. Next turn, we are exiling Gruul Signet and flip. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and cast Gruul Signet, and then we will be casting flip. Boom. I wish I had more mana so I could do Unstable, because now we've already hit target opponent. No, we would hit all opponents for 2 on, yeah. So next turn, you get an island, a command tower, and that. So what I'm going to do, that and that. So I'm going to have one color's floating. We're going to do Unstable Amulet. Turn 4. Oh, I didn't draw land. That island will stay in exile. And then we'll do... we could hold mana up for a counter spell. We technically have 4 mana. So yeah, that's what we'll do. Tap, tap. Sapphire Medallion. Then we'll go ahead and tap, tap. For that, we get 2 energy. Foretelling, saw it coming. So now, we're making our stuff cheaper. Next turn, turn 5, we have Forceful Denial, which will have to stay in exile, and Halden. So, what we're going to do is we're going to tap, we're going to cast Halden, pinging each of our opponents for 1. And then Forceful Denial. I don't really have a way. I could cast it, say if like they try to like counter. I could have cast it, but we're gonna say no. View library. We need Paco. We get Paco to our hand. Close. Right? He goes to our hand. Yep. And he does not cost cheaper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. So we'll cast Paco. And next turn, we're just going to start getting our opponent's stuff. Next turn. Oh, Squeak is in exile. And Savvy Trader is in exile. And we draw Cascading Cataracts. We'll play the Cataracts. Only our blue spells cost less. I could essentially go for the Food Chain combo. So yeah, we'll say this. Because our opponents will see it coming. And we have a counter spell that we can foretell. So we do that. We cast Food Chain. And then we'll say that we cast that to counter our opponent's spell. And then we'll do red, red, colorless, cast Squee. From exile, hit our opponents for 1, and then we go infinite combo on turn 6 of just shooting our opponents with Squee damage. Technically, he's also 1 less. So I didn't even need that blue there. I need that command tower to be tapped. But yeah. So with that too, we're getting 2 extra mana, hitting our opponents for 1, stuff like that. So yeah, guys, that's how, the Peekaboo deck works. We're just going to be casting stuff from exile as much as possible. And I really hope, guys, you enjoy this deck. Again, this is the cheapest. Price-wise, I don't know how I did it. Let me see. Never mind. I made it a little bit cheap. I made it $4 cheaper. So, I don't know what changed, but yeah. $296 if you're buying this deck outright. Most of these lands, you're probably going to have a 3 visits or a beast within. Now, again, like the Feral Encounter, you probably don't have Raven form, stuff like that. But yeah, it's one of the more cheaper decks you can build, more fun, gimmicky stuff like that. But again, guys, I'll see y'all again next week for the new deck lists. Bye-bye.